Hi, my name is Logan Walker with the Walk of Life podcast, where I interview people, break down their lives, and get to know what they know.
Welcome, Ona. How are you doing today? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, so my name is Ona. I'm from Andorra, which is a little country between France and Spain. And I'm doing a double major here in Valley on education and history and a minor on political science. And yeah, I came here to play volleyball. I kind of quit for a year and I'm planning to go back on January.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear you're going back. It is a lot being a student athlete for sure. So.
Yeah, it was a lot. And also I think I just needed this back time on my way, just focusing on work, studies, and other stuff that I wanted to.
So do you plan on working while you're an athlete too?
Yeah, I work at the Starbucks, and I'm an array here in campus, and sometimes I babysit some kids. Mm-hmm.
What do you babysit at?
Do you know Sammy and Tim O'Connell? They are like a couple from here. And I babysit their kids sometimes.
Oh, that's nice.
It is. Mm-hmm.
So we'll jump right into it. My first question that I ask everybody on is, what do you want your legacy to be? So,
wow.
After you pass, how do you want to be remembered?
Actually, I've thought about that several times. I just think that I want to be remembered as a happy woman, or expanding all my life with joyness and just trying to not changing the world, but provide to my students or to people surround me, wanting to get better every day and be that person that makes them feel safe and happy. I don't know, just kind of be the example of being happy all time and kind of get the positive things about the wrong things. And I don't know.
It's like seeing the glass half full.
Yeah.
And bringing happiness to others and showing people how to be happy. That's a very teacher quality.
I would love to, just because I feel like world is already in charge of the bad things. Let's say it in this way. And I think I consider myself as a very happy woman, and I think just spreading love and joy, it's a good way to make everybody feel happier,
How do you, when you see all the bad and especially on social media and such, there's a lot of, negative things out there. How do you kind of block that and keep being happy and spreading happiness?
I think it's very important to assume that bad things will happen. And depending from that, I think it's just being resilient and kind of analyzing the problem and just being yourself. And it's also something that you have inside of you, honestly, because I'm happy even though not every day it's an amazing day, but I know that I'll get something positive from each day. And it's also one exercise that I used to do is writing down on a notebook or something 3 positive things that had happened today, during the day. And that kind of the day after you wake up, thinking okay, so maybe something good will happen for sure, just because you wrote some positive things the night before, you don't wake up saying, oh, another bad day, another tough day, another day at work, or monotony, so I kind of just think, if you want to be happy, or you want to be you want to see the positive things, you got to work on it. Of course, you have bad times and good times always, but I don't know, I think taking again what you said about the social media and everything, just be aware that bad things will happen, but also try to know yourself, what you can do, or how that problem involves yourself and what you will change or not. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I like the point where you said writing 3 things down that you're grateful for or such. I've seen studies that's like doing that is what takes away the depression side of your brain. So that's a good way to kind of counteract that. And I was going to ask you, but you kind of addressed, you do it at night, so you wake up with that thought in your head? Like that's the last kind of thought.
So usually, like, I don't do it that much anymore, but I've done it like a year ago for the whole semester. And it was like 3 thoughts or maybe 4, depending on the day, or 5. But 3 thoughts every day giving value to something that you think it was very positive. For example, I've called my grandparents today and they told me they were very happy and they were very healthy. So that was a positive thing. And maybe it was not that important or that valuable on your day to day, but suddenly when you start giving this value or this importance on your thinkings, suddenly those bad or worse thinkings on your head will go away during time, you know? Like you won't give that much importance to a bad commentary that someone gave to you, or you won't overthink about something bad you've done at practice or at school or a bad grade, you know? So it's just like you kind of take the positive side.
I would agree. Also with the point that you can control your thoughts, but it is something you have to kind of work on, you know? It's not like natural. So
Totally.
So writing down 3 positive things that happen, I think that is a great way to work.
And I think it's kind of easy, you know? Like everybody can do it. It's very personal. It also serves to time for yourself. Like usually we don't have that much time for ourselves, and it's just good. I liked it. When I've done it, I liked it.
Well, I can...
Oh, sorry, my bad.
That's okay. I can definitely tell you're a very positive person. And
thank you.
As you have a smile on your face.
Yeah. Like the other day, yesterday, one of the professors told me, "Why are you always smiling? You're always happy." And I was like, yeah, it's not easy. I mean, of course I have bad days, but I just feel like the happiness on my brain gains over the worst part, you know? Of course I overthink, like everybody's human and everybody tries to live their best lives, but I don't know, it's something also on your genes, you know?
So tell me a little bit about where you grew up and how your parents kind of raised you.
Okay, so I grew up in a really natural place, which is called Andorra. It's a really small country. We're right now 80,000 people, more or less.
As a country in a whole?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, really small.
Yeah, it's really small. So that means that we kind of knew each other. And if you're, like, for example, in my case, I was involved in sports, in art. My family was involved as well in politics, or even like art as well. So being part of the social lifestyle that made you like meeting new people and probably like meeting most of the people in your country, you know? And I think I have 2 older brothers, and I was raised like based on hard work, like not things will always give to you easy. You gotta work for it. I think my environment was surrounded by a very familiar people. Like I've spent so many time with my grandparents, and I would say it was very familiar, very friendly also. We took vacations whenever we could. I learned, I read, you know, it was a really healthy environment, honestly. And some values that they gave me was probably like not step on others, just live your life. Also, don't compare about like on others. since we were siblings, like, of course, sometimes kids compare about like, okay, but you gave to my brother something. They were like, Ona, don't compare yourself. And I would say those are the main values that I got.
I feel like the comparing yourself to others is a huge one, because especially in sports, it's like, I want to be like this person, but knowing that everybody is so unique that you're given like certain attributes to benefit you, and that makes you unique in whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think it's also like important to just assume who you are, accept who you are, and then like during time you learn your spot in your society and community, you know? I mean, of course, you're not going to be as much important in a really small society, or whenever you're the main coach of some kiddos, or then you're the main teacher, or suddenly you're probably part of the teachers association in a state, and you're not going to be that important, to say it in a way. And just everybody has a role in life and in different spaces. And I like to be involved in community and social events. So it's just like, you gotta know where you gotta be and what you need to say, you know?
Yeah. I also feel like if you want something, or you want to be like something, like that's something you have to consciously work at, and you can't.
Totally.
You know, whatever you want to be is possible, but your focus has to be driven towards it. So that's one thing I feel like I learned coming here, was like, nobody knows me. I'm a long ways away from home. I can be whoever I want to be. So like, whatever I choose to be, that's who I'm going to be. I can act however I want. There's no, like...
I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
Don't you think that once people get an image from you, it's very difficult to make them change it from them? You know what I mean? Like, don't you think it's difficult to change the image they have from you to other people?
Are you talking about like when someone talks to another, or like how they see you as a person?
How they see you as a person.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I think first impressions are huge, and they're important. And if you start by the example, lending a hand to somebody or doing something small for them, that's how they're going to see you. But if you come across, and like don't, kind of rude to somebody, like that's how they're going to remember you, is that rude guy. They're not going to even remember your name. They're going to remember how you acted, how you spoke to them, what tone of voice you used in.
And how you changed that. Imagine that you want to change that image, that rude image you gave someday just because you had a bad day. And now how you change this image you created for that person, or for the people around you.
I feel like the other person has to be some sort of forgiving, if that makes sense.
That's true.
But I mean, just talking to them, like if someone was really mean to me the first time I met them, and then they came up to me 3 days later and was like, sorry, I was having a bad day, I didn't sleep well, and like explain their situation to me, I would be 100% forgiving. Yeah. So I think just talking to someone and having that social interaction and being honest with them would really kind of mend a bad image that you brought on yourself or something like that.
That's true.
So tell me about the school systems and how are they different from Honduras and the U.S.?
Wow, that's a huge difference, I think. I haven't been to so many schools here in the States, but as I've learned from like TikToks or YouTube videos or just people speaking about it, I think there's three main aspects that they are hugely different from back home and here. One of them is the dining halls, like the food, which kind of menus you will have. Like here, kids, you have the option of choosing what you want for lunch, and back home you don't. It's a way to just make you used to eat everything, having a healthy menu, eating a little bit of everything, and kind of force you to, okay, you gotta eat vegetables, but as well you can eat a burger someday, or like having this balance, healthy balance in your life. And that what really surprised me whenever I did my practicum classes in the middle school. Another huge difference is the fact of knowledge, how we work on so, like, it's very extended on what we work on content. And here I would say it's more like specific in the States. And I don't know why, but I feel like students are less committed to the educational system as back home. I don't know the reason, because at the class I went to, the teacher was very committed. He was good. He knew a lot about the content. He had good relationship with them. He made them feel engaged with the content. But at the same time, some of them, like big part of them, they were just like kind of beside. I don't know. It was also different. And back home, sometimes I feel like there's more, not authority, but like kids follow the rules, and kids know that if you go to class, you gotta listen, you gotta take notes, you gotta do your projects.
You think that's like a discipline problem? Like,
I would
is there
say,
like
yeah.
more consequences for wrong actions, or is it?
Actually, it's a discipline problem from my point of view, of course. But it's also a lifestyle problem. I mean, we went to school from, like in elementary school, was from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Some of the people here, they go to school until noon, 9 to noon. How do you do 3 hours of class to a kiddo? That kid needs to get used to sit down, raise their hands to speak, respect others, being in a different environment but home, because here you don't have so many like social environment, because back home after elementary school they would like go to the park, and then like life would end pretty later, they would go to sports or arts or some other activities, and then they would just go home around 7-8 p.m., get dinner, and then go back to sleep. So I don't know why it comes from discipline, but definitely I think that's one of the reasons. I just feel they don't, I would say lazy. They don't commit, they don't worry. There's no like this critical thinking around students, as from my point of view.
More so in the students or from the teachers?
I would say from the students, but it's also it's also a problem from teachers, because the teachers are the ones that needs them to feel engaged on the content, on what you're teaching, and on the class in general, like having participation, having different kind of activities. That's some things that made me feel engaged back at the time. And of course we have some, like, I've been always very hard worker, as I said, but there was other students that they weren't. And even though they did the thing and they paid attention to class, because if not, there was some consequences. They would kick you out of school, or they would like have you a report or something,
I agree. I think our education system is quite soft in a sense, if that makes sense. Yeah. Everyone is so happy and such nowadays. That's like, I can't really discipline the students because there could be a fallback on the teacher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much control in the parents that the school can't do what it needs to do.
I think so. That's another big reason. Because if you spend that much time at home, like, educate someone, it's like double job from the teacher and also coming from parent side or the adulthood in that house. So I think it needs to come from both sides. And if one side, which they spend like more than 50% of the time at home, they don't work on it, we won't work on it. Like what teachers do, it's not gonna be how I would say it, like there's not gonna be a reward from it, you know? Like there's not gonna see any results. I don't know if that makes sense.
On the parent side, I feel like that's a big thing too, because I feel like right now in the world we're transitioning from generation to generation. So there's a new generation of parents out there.
Yeah.
Who are putting their beliefs and their thoughts in their children, which is all fine, you know.
Yeah.
Whatever you believe, that's what you believe.
It's respectful,
right?
I would say.
We can agree to disagree on things, but if you send your kid to this school, you should believe in that school and what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
If your beliefs with the school system doesn't align, that doesn't mean you get to take control of that school. I mean, just move your kid to a different one where they see the point of what you're trying to bring across.
Yeah, definitely. That's very important. And, well, besides that, I would say also screen time. Oh. It's very involved in the learning process of the kids and the lifestyle, because I had some kids saying that they were going to sleep at 5 a.m. I was like, man, how do you do that?
Yeah.
And you wake up at 7 a.m. How do you do that? Like, of course, some kids will sleep during class time. Of course, some kids won't be able to pay attention. And of course, ADHD will be more developed like every year, just because screen time in kids is increasing extremely. And that has there has been so many studies demonstrating that screen time is bad for our mental processing of information. And it's very important to balance. I go back to this concept: balance the screen time, balance reading time, balance your food, sports time, you know. I feel like right now they are very exposed to screen time and they just forget about reading and they don't worry about it.
And a lot of I feel like, I can't speak on too much, but we're giving the kids so much freedom, as in you can be on your screen as much as you want. And they have screens at such a young age nowadays. I mean, some of these kids, I mean, they're 7, 8 years old and they have a phone. Like, what do you need a phone for?
That's definitely something that it will create a huge impact in our society. We're not aware yet, just because consequences aren't visual right now. But I'm pretty sure that future studies coming from Harvard, Stanford, or UCLA will demonstrate that the new generation exposed to these technologies would feel so much more depressed on teenager ages. They would feel more isolated. They won't socialize that much. And if they do, it's going to be for something related to screen time, to games, or to some kind of things involved.
Yeah, I feel like social interaction is going, people, they don't know how to talk to each other anymore. It's even our generation is, I notice a lot of people, they rather just text somebody than sit down and just talk it out. Or if you have a problem, you have a problem with somebody, talk it out. Or
That's definitely one of the huge problems that is right now very visual or very common. And this is why I go back to say it's very important to spend time at school, because in school screen time is regulated usually. During the playground, you don't have any kind of screens on your hand, or they shouldn't have.
Right.
From my point of view. And they would if you make them engage with sports, there's no screen on that. If you make them read, or if they get if you're reading in front of them since they are very young, the kids tend to imitate fathers or what they see. that's a very Piaget theory that during, I think it's from 0 to 2 or 2 to 4 years old, they just like kind of copy what they see. Of course, they walk because they see others walking.
Right.
They speak because they see it. So it's just creating an habit also coming from parents. Okay, reading. Okay, you can watch a TV show, but not all time. From my own, like, that's how I feel about it. Or also creating, like, going for a hike, traveling, creating this critical thinking, asking them questions, like relate also to them and make them feel important during the 7-year-old age, which like egocentrism thinking is very popular on those kids. Just making them feel important on that, worry for them, feeding them, it's just those little things will make this kid or our future generation feel engaged to learn more and to like expand their knowledge, I would say.
Right. That's an amazing message you just sent right there. So
thank you.
When you think about raising your kids, this is what I'm taking from you. What you do is crucially important into what your kids are going to turn out to be. So if you want your kids to be super educated, read around them all the time. Show them that you can read. Shut the TV off. Read a book. If your kids are playing, they're looking at you reading. That's what they're going to know. What's going to be fun when I'm 7 or 8 reading? Because, your parents did it. That's what they did. So creating an environment is got to be, in my opinion, one of the most important ways to shape children in the next generation. Which me and I both go into teaching. Hopefully we can instill that into our classrooms as well.
I think we would. Because we've been raised on the old way of like teaching and learning, but at the same time we're like adapting to technology, of course, but at the same time we're seeing other generations evolving and we're like freaking out sometimes because it's
like it's going too fast.
It's
like progressivism is put it in fast forward and changing it so quickly. It's like, okay, maybe we're not supposed to change that fast. Maybe we should take a step back and slowly integrate things. I would agree. There's got to be a balance in there. Got to be a balance.
I think we can, like, our generation is pretty aware of it. And, like, the people I have surround, they usually agree on this idea. And I think we can make it. I think, like, some upper people that they are very ahead of us, they would just see the same way as we do, because if we're seeing it and we are from Missouri Valley College, we can sit on this talk. I'm pretty sure somebody else who gets to that position in power, they would perfectly see which is the problem and how to deal with it.
I don't know how you can actually deal with it, though. I mean, the screens are out there. I mean, the big companies aren't going to stop selling computers and phones and stuff. So I think it's the freedom of being able to make the decision is important, but we have to be aware of the consequences that will come if you abuse these things or you jump into things too much, don't find a balance in your lives. So I think that's super important as well. One thing I was going to say is in America, we seem to have like a bullying problem. Did you notice that in elementary, middle school, high school in Honduras?
In Andorra, and I think pretty much everywhere from the first world, I think it's something natural, unfortunately. We, as a kid, there's always a big kid who's been raised in like violence problems, or not even that, and that person just needs to step on others to feel better for some other psychological reasons. And I think that that's going to be always something in schools. But how, like, we can reduce the amount of bullying in schools, but we need to know how to deal with, because they are very delicate, and now with technology, it's gonna be crazy. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a problem in our day-to-day, and we will need to be taught for it to be able to act whenever it happens. Like a previous teaching process for teachers, and then we will be able to act for. But on screens, everything goes faster, and of course, it's going to be a problem always. But if teachers get the instruction they need to have, I think we can get rid of half of the bullying situations we're having.
Here's my problem with cyberbullying, right? If you're texting someone, you're not actually seeing them. And so you're just looking at pixels on a screen.
Yeah.
And you're not even realizing that there's another person on the other side of this with emotions and feelings. And so that's why they would never say those things in person.
Yeah.
Is because when I'm looking at you face to face and I can see how you're reacting and your emotions, I would never say the things that I would be open to texting because I can't physically see you. It's just pixels.
Yeah, that's true. Behind a screen, everybody feels brave.
Yes, exactly. And then when you're on the receiving side of it, you're still getting the emotions, even though it is just pixels on the screen, and they're not sensing your emotions. So it's not even really real.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I think it's gonna be always a problem. Like, it's in schools, kids do whatever. Like, they are learning, they are evolving. Our function as a teacher, it's just to hold them and kind of teach throughout problems that will be happening. And as I said, we gotta assume wrong things will happen, and we gotta show resilience to like new problems, and after that, just like deal with it and empathize and try to get to the middle of the situation. And I don't know, it's gonna be, I'm very negative on that. I don't think we will definitely stop bullying in schools, and it's gonna be increasing if social media is increasing, if like more kids amount of kids in schools, it raises how do you like raise them. It's gonna be also a problem because like now suddenly kids step on on parents, because they have their own decisions. Sometimes I feel like I call them like dictator kids. They just like decide over parents. They decide what to eat. They decide what to wear. They decide if they want the TV, if they decide what to watch. You know, like they just decide, and their brain is not developed enough to make decisions for like the right decisions for themselves.
That is a huge thing, because I understand the side of we have to give kids freedom and such. Like I totally get it, but their brains are not developed. They can't think totally logically. They haven't even had enough experiences in life to understand how this is going to affect them. And they're seeing the right now. They're not thinking about the future.
Yeah.
They're not even thinking about tomorrow. That is a huge point, that you can't allow kids to make every decision because their brains aren't fully developed. It's still growing.
That's one of the reasons of bullying, honestly. There are some kids that kids don't think about future. Kids usually don't think about consequences. They just, of course, they are innocent because they are learning. They are in this like protective cage from their parents and school and other like outgoing world problems. And I think, retaking your question, like, there's so many aspects and topics involved on bullying, but yeah, kids need to be protected and educated and like limited for parents.
I would agree. I feel like we're speaking to a lot of parents out there.
I have a very drastic opinions on that, and that doesn't mean I don't respect other point of views, of course, but I just feel like we need to be more drastic now, and put limits, and that's how we learn. Mm-hmm. If not, we would go crazy.
Yeah, sadly, it might be that generation learning from our mistakes, but yeah. I feel like, we are going to learn from this either way. I just hopefully, we can learn from it quickly. Yeah. So after high school and such, why did you want to come to America?
So, as I said, my country is really small, and I've been always pretty adventurous and wanting to know more and having this curiosity inside of me. And suddenly I met someone on my before starting my senior year of high school. She was a volleyball player. She came with us to practice someday. She was older than us. And she explained me someday that she was like studying here, and I got interest for it, and I started like asking her questions. I was like, wow, that's amazing. I would love to do it. So after that, with my mom, we started to search information on internet, and suddenly we saw that possible. We saw that like from volleyball, a door here in the States was opening to me, and I just took the opportunity. I've been very supported for my parents, and that year I just focused on study SATs, having no clue of English, honestly. I was really bad, but really bad. I signed up for classes. I was going to gym, volleyball, senior year of high school, driver's license. There was so many things. Plus teenager problems. So right. It was just like crazy.
Plus, that brain's still developing.
Yeah, like don't forget you're still raising, you're growing up. And yeah, it was kind of crazy, but I think the main focus was just getting out of my country, getting out of my comfort zone, and just kind of wanted to experience new things.
Was there any main reason you wanted to get out of your country?
Not really, but like since it's a small country, here in Marshall, we are a small society as well. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like sometimes I felt I knew everything like I needed to know. I had like a roof on me as sailing, mm-hmm. and I wanted to go through it. I knew it was something else behind, and I couldn't like go and take a breath. And also the metaphor I use is like, that country is surrounded by mountains. And
I have seen your pictures. They are beautiful.
Yeah. It's amazing. Right now I'm missing home so much. But like, I felt like kind of claustrophobic, like trading the same topics, seeing the same people. There was like nothing else I could do. I really had this interest, and I was super inquietude to know new places, to know new people, to get out of my surrounded people, but not for a bad thing, just for because whenever I'm on a stair, I want to go up and up and up. And if I can go upper, I'll go. I'll try to get the best version of myself always. And if coming here was helping me to like grow as a person and bringing back this knowledge I'm learning right now, I'll do it, I love to travel. I love to learn. I love to meet new people. I think that was the best option. And of course, volleyball.
I think that's great. I come from a really small town, and it's like everyone kind of does the same thing, talk to the same people, do the same. So it's like that same sort of scenario. Yeah. And then I got this opportunity to come out here, and it was like, this is a whole different world. Like, I've never seen the world in this way. Yeah. If that makes sense, especially meeting people from Honduras and Spain and all that. I was like, well, I need to travel. Like, the cultures are so different. The people are, they're amazing. It's like, I need to travel.
Yeah. I think it's very amazing from both cultures, like, well, from everyone here, sorry, how in a conversation you're having a Chinese boy or a Chinese girl, someone from Portugal, someone from France, someone from the United States, someone from Brazil, and suddenly you just speak out the same things and you share cultures, you share thoughts, and it's very interesting and it raises as a person. Like, it reminds you that the world is not your country. The world is not just you. The world is bigger than us and there's other problems somewhere else. And I don't know, I love this idea of like meeting new people from everywhere. It's just crazy.
That was the biggest shock for me. It was like, whoa, people from all over the world.
But it enriches us, I think, because
for sure.
If not, we would have known like so many countries, so many languages, so many like other kind of lifestyle, because you can perfectly see how like you can have a standard of how Brazilian people are, how Spanish people are, how French people are, you know, like you can already like kind of get to know these cultures and traditions, but from here living in the United States, you know, it's just like
you can read about it all you want, but until you go interact with someone, you're not going to actually get the full understanding.
Yeah,
that's for sure. What is the biggest difference between Honduras and the U.S.?
The size. Yeah, the size is the main difference. You have so many kinds of landscapes here. You can have a mountain, you can have an amazing lake, you can have an amazing sea, you can have an amazing beach, you can have an amazing ocean. Like here in the States, you have everything. In Andorra, we have mountains, amazing rivers, amazing lakes. We have like more rural environment. And that would be the other difference. The language is another difference. The lifestyle. I would say that back home we're more, I don't know how to say it, but we definitely wear different clothes. As here, we have a different lifestyle. We go out at night. We get dinner at 9 p.m. We party a lot. We enjoy time with friends. It's very real, I would say. More than here. I don't want to generalize, but usually here it's like more close relationships. You know, like you won't see usually American people going run for like outside campus. You're gonna see an international people for sure, you know. It's just the lifestyle and the size, I would say.
Would agree. What is one thing you wish you could change about the both of them? One from each.
Here in the States, the guns regulations, educational system, health system, like for being able to apply for health, having the opportunity to go to the hospital and get treated for not like $2,000. Just like if you have a headache, just kind of having this recommendation from a doctor telling you, hey, you got to do this instead of paying $3,000 for having 2,000 like tests or MRIs or things going on, you know. And from Andorra, oh my God, just like very difficult to say something because I love my country, but I would say I would change our transit communication between like parishes. Like we don't have states, we have parishes, and like I would like my country to be more on the side of the environment and defend our nature. We already do, but I would like that they would like invest more money on it, you know?
In Honduras, there's like strict gun rules.
It's not allowed if you don't have the license. Hunters can hunt, but with regulations, you cannot hunt like crazy, like going for whatever you want, whenever you want, There are some regulations for your ecosystem.
That's the same in America, though.
Yeah, but here, like, having the opportunity of getting a gun and going for hunting, it's kind of easier. They are not going to sell you a gun there for sure if you don't have a license.
What do you mean by a license?
Like a hunting license. You like it just, since it's smaller, it's it's more regulated. I don't know how to
I feel like that'd be really
aspects.
tough to do in America because we're so large.
Yeah.
Like you can't
control.
Can't regulate 1 billion people.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's crazy. Yeah. For sure. What was the question again? Sorry.
What's one thing you want to change?
It's just I want to change, but know what this like. Whenever I lived there, I was like, why they don't do that? Why they don't do? There's so many laws, very conservative. Like abortion is not legal. I would try to help on that, like changing, not making it like if you want, you don't legalize it, but at least don't illegalize it, because if you do that, you go to prison or you have like law consequences. So at least just having this kind of step forward on that.
So abortion is illegal there? Or
yeah, it's illegal.
It's illegal?
Yeah.
So you can't have abortions?
No.
Oh.
You gotta leave the country if you want to do it. That's one thing I would change.
Why would you want to change that?
Just because I think human rights and women rights are very important. And sometimes, okay, I agree because we're a co-principality, so that means that we depend on the Pope of La Seu d'Urgell, which is like a really small town next to Andorra that represents the Vatican City. So the Vatican City thoughts like Christian or Catholics. Sorry for being an ignorant now. But I think it's more Catholic. And it represents more the church. And then from the side of France, we have the president of France being the other prince that represents more the governmental figure, know? So the only reason why it's illegal is because of the Pope representing the church, because it goes against the church. But I'm not asking you to legalize it, because that goes way further, and that's really difficult to like negotiate with the church side. But at least not to being punished if you abort, or if you like, if your health, if the woman's health is in risk, like, of course, that little fetus, maybe it's not the right time to have it, If it's like the person who's already alive, that health is in risk, why would you risk someone's life just for giving someone else's life for living without a mother? There's some really specific situations that I would allow it. I would openly allow it for anybody, because of course women don't wake up in the morning, hey, let's go, let's abort, When they take the pill, there's a lot of circumstances going on. You feel like shit. It's not like that easy. People wouldn't take it like, yeah, I'm going to abort because I wasn't aware and I just didn't take the precautions I needed. They would keep getting the precautions they needed to, but I don't know. I feel like there's so many things going on this topic.
Yeah.
It's very weak, this topic.
Yeah. It's tough for me to speak on it. To me, it's pretty much black and white, if that makes sense. So I'm open to whatever anybody believes, but to me, it's either is that fetus inside you a human or not?
Yeah.
Is it a human yet? If it is, then isn't it murder?
No, yeah, of course.
If it's not, you know what I mean?
But within the 90 days, that fetus is not a human yet. That fetus is like a chickpea, you know?
Right.
It just like, it doesn't have the brain even like developed. And if your life
but
is
the
in
DNA
risk...
is developed. So, I don't know. To me, it's tough.
Yeah,
I
totally understand. I totally understand. But,
plus, I don't know if you're religious or not, but I'm a Christian. So, to me, it's like God planted a baby inside of you. So, and I understand circumstances are horrible, especially with like, I hate even say it, a rape and things like that in that nature. It's like, that's horrible. I get it. But still, that child still has a chance.
Yeah.
You know? But there's got to be more support from the government as well, and being understanding in those situations too.
I understand you don't like, as a like religious person, I totally understand that abortion goes way further than any other topic in any other law, because it's about beliefs. But I'm not religious, but I follow some traditions from Catholicism. I don't know how to say it, I'm sorry. But yeah, I follow like traditions, and my grandparents were Catholic. Well, they are Catholic. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, on this new generation, I feel like if you have the opportunity of controlling when to have the child, because sometimes mistakes happen. Maybe imagine that, let's say that I get pregnant now. Would I be able to finish my studies? Probably not. Would I be able to like hold that child? Probably not. I wouldn't be able to give that child the good life that deserves. And it wasn't even a child whenever I wanted to abort, you know? Like, it's just an hypothetical situation. Of course, I'm not pregnant and nothing happened to me.
Right.
But, like, whenever it's a chickpea, like a chickpea, it's the size of your nail. Why would you just give a bad life to me, who I'm already like 20, and I didn't make any mistake, just happen? Why would I kind of like...
What's the difference between a good and bad life, though? I mean, I feel like raising a child would be a good life. Yeah,
definitely. It would be a good life for sure. But it would be a good life if you have the resources to raise that child. I'm not economically stabilized on that, you know? And I can't even, like, stand myself economically. How would I, like, help another one on my, like, side to raise that child? Imagine that person got raped. Does that, like, the woman needs to raise a child from a motherfucker that raped her? You know, it's really difficult. You're gonna, like, kind of see the face on your child. You're gonna love that child, but you're gonna see the other man's face, you know, in your day-to-day. It's just very difficult. I think it goes very further, and it's very, like, I totally respect all opinions, and as I said, my country is not legal.
Yeah,
so.
me too. I was just picking your brain. I was just curious, because that's one thing I never thought about was in a rape scenario, seeing, like, quote unquote, the father or the whoever, you know.
Yeah.
But you would get genetic, you know, resemblance from it, which is a horrible thought, but man, this is just a tough topic here.
I know. We don't have to go through it if you don't want to. Like, I think we just have different opinions and we come from different worlds as well. I don't have these kind of beliefs, even though I've been raised from. Like, I had my own opinions later. I've read several things. I rather believe in other stuff. And I went to church here. Once I've been in America with my host family, I got interest for learning more, going to Bible studies. Like, it's not something that I'm rejecting at all, but I like to learn from different religions. And there are so many other topics that involve religions that maybe in our day-to-day or in our communities, it's really hard to involve like religious stuff, you know.
The one of the greatest things about Christianity to me is I have no judgment, you know. Following Christianity is I am no one to judge you. So if you want to have an abortion or you need, you have an abortion or whatever, I'm not going to treat you any differently. Yeah. Because that's not between you.
I think it's also it goes besides the religion, and that's well. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
It's just it's also humanity, and be humble and try to respect everybody, even though they don't agree with you, and that's what. It's really awesome from you, you know? Yeah. Like, you can have your open mind and saying, okay, I don't agree with that, but I gotta respect it.
I think that's the greatest thing to take away from it, for sure. Because judging and such, and I feel like a lot of times, especially, like, even me as a young person, I was very close-minded. I thought, this is where I thought I would just get in arguments with other people who disagreed, but really that's not how it is. Being open-minded, then you can learn both sides and you can understand where people are coming from. And especially on the abortion topic, I totally understand, and I can't even fathom half of it. But
it's just so very big, this topic, and there's so many values and thoughts and situations, circumstances. It's just too much that we can discuss here, but in every country it's way different. And for me, evolution means rights, and women's rights shouldn't be a part or fell apart on that. They should be inclusive, and that would make the evolution, the societies evolve. That's from my point of view, you know.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm totally for women's rights and equality and everything. That's the only place where I differentiate. Wow, I can't speak.
Differentiate?
Yes, from women's rights and abortion is I just think it's a child more of. So, but totally get it. Anyways, we can move on.
No worries.
We could probably go all day.
Definitely, we like to talk, so.
We'll get in another big one anyways, since we're here.
Okay.
We talked about global warming and the environment at Shane's, if you remember that. What do you think the root cause is, and how can we fix it?
The root causes?
The root cause, so like the main...
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Wow. Let's go to politics now.
We're already there.
Yeah. But I think capitalism system is the main cause and for the environmental consequences we're having nowadays. I think Europe honestly is working so hard of like renewable energies, recycle, and working on like for the pro benefits for the earth and having like the longest life's earth for us. And here in America, you just consume. Once I got here and I saw all the water bottles, packs that all college students had in their own rooms, and that's just a college, and we're like 1,000 students. That's 1,000. Well, just start counting. That's at least like 4 million plastic water bottles. But then the other side, I saw that everybody goes with like the water bottles, like the tough ones, the good ones. And I saw everybody going with that as well. And I was like, okay, now they are like kind of recycling because they are not spending the water or the plastic from the water bottles. But here, honestly, if you see like the last day of school, there are so many clothes, so many electrodomestics, so many sheets or things on the trash can, on the dumpster. And you're like, why do we consume that much? Do we really need it? And if we need it, why don't we like give it away? Give it to someone else who needs it more instead of just dump it out. And what I think is just like Europe is working so hard on that, but China and United States, hell, consummation is high.
Yeah. It's there's the part of the culture in America is everybody wants the bigger, the next best. You know, that's the thing. Who's got the biggest, the best, and that's comes back to comparing with one another. Is, oh, I have the new iPhone. Now Jimmy has a new iPhone. I got to get another one. You know, and then where does that go? That goes in the trash. So it's again. Oh my goodness.
I love America though.
Yeah.
Even though I'm saying so, like the difference is, I just think that social thinking from Europe, it goes more like forwarder, and here in America it goes more protective on their economy.
I would agree.
So, and each sides have their own pros and cons, but like the cons from here in America, they affect to the most part of the world. It just.
But here's my problem is you can't make somebody do what they don't want to do, and changing the total culture.
No, it's impossible.
Of America would be, yes, nearly impossible.
Yeah.
So my thought is, what else can we do to? Because we can all agree that global warming is happening, and you know it's
out there.
It's out there. So what ways can we like actually affect it big term without making everyone change their whole lifestyles? Because that, to me, that shows a power problem. Like I'm being forced to do something. So I don't like that. You know, American free, but stereotype things. You know.
I get it. I just think there was the rule of the 3 R's. One is reduce, the other one was recycle, and the other one was reuse. I would say. And it's just like just following these 3 rules, it's just you'll help to the global warming, even though it's out there and it's impossible to stop it. During COVID, we reduced the ozone. What's the name of that thing? Ozone.
Yeah.
You know, the ozone part. We reduced that hole in the 50% of it, just because COVID made us like just shut down everything. We couldn't go outside. We couldn't use our cars. We couldn't like spend money. Well, we spend it, of course, but not as much as we used to. The world stopped and the social life stopped. And maybe someday in the future, we will have to shut down our societies and communities for a while to repair what we've done during these years.
Yeah. So I've heard about this, I would say a chemical.
Yeah.
Where you just like mix it with water and you can spray it on any sort of plants, and it increases the amount of oxygen produced in photosynthesis. Because I didn't know this, but before, photosynthesis can only happen at a certain time of day. So like plants are very limited, and that's why they can't produce that much oxygen.
Like during sun times?
Like right at the beginning of the day, and then like right before dark is like 30 minutes a day they can do photosynthesis. And this is supposed to double that. So you're doubling the amount of oxygen and it's sucking in twice the amount of carbon dioxide, which would ultimately slow down the greenhouse effect or whatever.
That's cool.
So
I haven't heard
if we could display that on all the trees in America, I mean, that would be...
You would save the world.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That would at least slow it down significantly.
Yeah, that's totally one of the solutions. I'm pretty sure that would work, but that's not the root of the problem, We're going back to... The root of the problem is consummation and our lifestyle. And I'm on it. Like, I live in America. I like to consume. And I have probably so many things I don't need and I just bought. And I overbought. And I think the root of the problem is the capitalism and consumption. But we still have other solutions. As you said, this chemical with the water... We would find like other solutions. Like, for example, I've seen on the ski slopes in Europe or other places that they are putting like a loan. I think it's a loan, like a huge plastic covering the ski slope because if not, the ice is gonna melt. So they need to cover that huge mountain just because the ice wouldn't melt. So we have solutions for sure. We're gonna find something to keep living and step on nature. But nature has their own path, and you cannot build on rivers because someday that river will go through the path which it was going, Like, you can try to avoid the global warming and try to, like in Europe, it's more like building on lakes, on mountain, on nature. But then the nature will follow their process and will start growing again wherever it start growing, Does it make sense?
Yeah. Have you ever thought that global warming isn't something that we can control? Like if you think about the Ice Age, like that's like the opposite of global warming, or that was just the Earth's a little bit farther away from the sun in a rotation, so we kind of got out of our natural state and then we came back. What if we're just moving closer and things might get really bad for a while and then we move back into our normal cycle? Maybe that's a problem.
I've thought about several times, and actually that's probably that's definitely one of the studies that some scientifics visualize Earth in a few years. They are saying every time like 2100 Earth will be dead.
Yeah.
They always talk like for a future, for a very further future, but that can happen in 10 years, depending on how we act and how the Earth reacts. So I just basically think that that's definitely one of the options that could happen in the future, like just going back to Ice Age or going back to meteorites or just like having some very bad period of lifestyle, having like destroyed more of the half of the population. And then start over, or finding a new planet, or like there's so many theories out there, and one of the ones you said, it's one of the most
it seems logical to me,
and it's actually one of the most supported by the scientists out there, I swear. So it's one of the one of the theories that maybe it would happen, but we never know. Because imagine that a meteorite just goes like and crashes through Earth and finishes with all human life. Like something else will happen.
Anything could happen.
That's
100% true. Moving into a little bit in the future, when you become a teacher, in what ways do you want to influence the next generation?
I kind of be inspirational for them. I would love for my students, having me as an example, as someone who follows their dreams. I want them to be hard workers. I want them to change life. If they don't like something, do something to change it, not complain. And if you complain, just study law. If you study law, just try to find a way to change it, you know. I want to, like, as my future kids, I want them to be curious. I want them to be worried for society as we are. I would love to make them laugh and like them making me laugh, like having so much fun in class, and learning from them. Because like sometimes adults forget that we can learn from kids.
Absolutely.
And that's the most closest to that generation we are. And we gotta listen more to them. Maybe half of the times we'll say some very innocent stuff, but I think it's beautiful. And I think that maybe you cannot like draw the world in colors, but you can like get that idea and kind of like bring it to, like, let's say to the student teaching senate and just treat one of the topics that worries to a 4-year-old or to a 10-year-old, because that's also something that happened to me whenever I went to school. When I was 11 to 12 years old, they installed a new educational system in my school. So we had iPads in school. Like, we worked on cooperative groups, we worked for projects, and the learning was way different. And I was the major hater of it. And anybody was listening to me. And everybody was like just doing what Sweden, what Iceland, what Finland, Switzerland was doing, because they are like the reference of Europe, the reference of the world, of education system, of human rights, of first world societies, you know. They are the main standardized societies. But then you have a kiddo on your 10-year-old telling you that's going to be bad for us. We're not going to learn anything. I mean, we are, but we're not going to like get the concepts and like interiorize them. And I felt I wasn't heard back at the time. And I'm pretty sure I will try to hear what they say, even though they are complaining about something that I won't be able to change. I'll try to make them feel listened and try to do something for them.
I think that's what kids really need, is to feel like they've been heard.
Yeah.
A lot of times, especially middle school, in the beginning of puberty and such, it's like
it's
sometimes
hard.
You just need somebody to listen. And
because you feel like you're in a incomprehensive world. Like, anybody listens to you, everybody thinks you're crazy, everybody thinks you're like educated, you know. Like, everybody thinks you're the bad person in the world, you're just confused. There's so many things going on in your life, and being heard and having like an adult really caring from you, I think it's really good. Like, it's an open side of like giving your opinion, even though maybe it's very impossible what you're saying, trying to get a voice for them, you know.
Advocating for your students is it's a big thing. That's awesome. I have one more for you, and it's kind of a lighthearted question. What are 3 things on your bucket list?
Right now on Amazon or in my lifestyle?
Like, a bucket list thing would be like go skydiving.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
go see whatever country.
On your bucket, I just thought on Amazon. I was like, what? Travel the world. That's my first one for sure.
Well, you started.
Yeah. Kind of not change the world, but getting in a powerful place where I could like provide information and change what things haven't gone good, but in a good way, you know. I don't mean to be politics. Maybe yes in the future, but I don't feel prepared right now, honestly. But I want to be that person that if I don't like something, I want to change it. And I would like to be surrounded by that. And honestly, I would love, like, that's a dream. It's not in a bucket list, but spending time with my family, friends, making them feel safe, healthy, and just like be happy. That's not like in a bucket list of objectives of what to do, but it's more like something that I would like follow.
Very important to
you.
you.
It's a goal in my life that I would follow always.
Well, I'm with you on that one. Ona, it was awesome to have you on.
Thank you so much. I've talked too much, I think.
That was awesome. That was perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Walk of Life podcast.